Very warm welcome to the viewers. We are back with a new edition of Unbiased, the second edition. And again, we have our beloved expert, Saravanan Ganesan is here. Today, we would like to discuss a very special topic. We have just celebrated last month the Independence Day of India. And so now India is marching towards 75th year after independence. And you'd like to discuss and also analyze and get the expert opinion from Saravanan on how he is seeing the status quo of growth and development and various factors of Indian democracy, and also when it all started, when young India was born, how it was, and how far we have traveled now with various challenges that a young nation had to encounter within, also from outside. And what, from his analysis, what would be, let's say, in the next 50 years, how he would like to see in India, and what are the challenges lies ahead to realizing that India that he wished to see. So these are the points today we thought we will take up for the discussion. Saravanan, always a very pleasure to discuss and interact with you because it's something we do it very casually, but with a lot of, let's say, seriousness in our discussions, because at the end of the day, it is important for us to bring to the viewers what is the end goal of this episodes, is to make sure there are certain things that to be broken down for simply, because not everybody are experts. So it should be also possible for common women and men to also understand and connect with about the topics what we are discussing. So it will be nice to start with, if you can just speak on your own idea of India. And because you, me, and many others, we all had our till our youth, let's say, education we had in India, so we know what the India we grew up, and we are now almost 2 decades after that we are here. So of course we are always in touch with our roots, we are involved in many things, but at the same time, from your perspective of many factors, let it be governance, let it be health system, let it be infrastructure, or let it be women education, women empowerment, many things one can look at it. So to start with, kindly give us how you are seeing and what is the status quo as of now. Yeah, floor is yours, Saravanan, please.
Yeah, thank you, Bala. It is always a pleasure to discuss current affairs and contemporary Indian politics as well as international politics with you. Of course, you've been a member of city council and know the governance system here in Germany. We had always a fruitful discussion on this governance and development strategies of India and Germany as well. So it's always a pleasure to have discuss with you about these things. As you said, we grown up till our youth. I would say 25, 26 years we grown up in India, and we know the system of India and how the country evolved, like from its independence in 1947 till date. So there is a huge difference if you see the year of independence, 1947. Where we see kind of British, they left India in a manner that our GDP was really 2.4 or something to the world, towards the world economic growth. And of course, we had a huge refugee problem. I mean, the partition between India and Pakistan, where there were even the UN was also at a nascent stage of development. We didn't have a kind of a UN Refugee Commission, or even the UN Refugee Convention was enacted in 1952. So there was no High Commissioner for Refugee Management or something like that, or International Organization of Management around that period. So the country alone itself managed to come out of the refugee crisis during the partition period. And of course, if you see Germany after the Second World War, German got a Marshall Plan to come for its economic revival. But India, with its economic resources, it had to come on its own to move as a country, independent country, an independent republic. So these are all the things which was disadvantage at the beginning of Indian independence. But at the same time, there was a huge discussion going around that period, like whether India will be intact like this as one country because of its diverse nature, diverse cultures, presence of diverse cultures and languages would make it brittle to break into different countries. But the country's uniqueness is its diversity, I would say, and its strength also lies in its diversity. So this diversity was well tackled by by the administration around the period of independence, and and the idea of segregating language-based states. That was also kind of grouping identical culture and languages into a group, into a state, categorizing them into a state was a kind of to create a kind of a federal structure. No? So that was the basic foundation for our robust democracy, I would say. Identify identical cultures together, groom and nurture together, and to provide the strength to strengthen the Indian diversity and the Indian democracy. So, but our country has a federal structure. It could have had a confederation structure also, like the US. Each and every state has its own constitution, and together form a kind of a federal structure to form a country like US. But we evolved in a different, unique manner to form a kind of federal structure. And
Saravanan,
yes,
very nice point you made. I just want to intervene on that part. As you said, after the independence, though India was one, let's leave that part of the partition, but other than that, India was one. Was the feeling within India that it is a one country, or because we know that many, let's say, presidencies and those were all put together and then it was done, and of course Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel played an important role and everything. Now India and the India at that point of time when India was born, still were there undercurrents within various states and provinces that still they were not very happy the way it was, or already after the independence it was already Mahatma Gandhi and led the freedom struggle, made sure that one Indianness was already strong?
See, it's a good question actually. If you see the different phases of Mahatma Gandhi's non-violence struggle against the British rule, the disobedience movement, or the Quit India movement, whatever you name it, it brought together the country. I mean, the country was together to protest against the colonial rule. So actually, I would say Mahatma Gandhi's freedom struggle the very idea of uniting the nation started from the pre-British, from the colonial period itself, I would say. If you see the Quit India movement, which started in 1942, the whole country, or a non-cooperation movement, a civil disobedience movement, whatever movement I mean, the whole country gathered together. He traveled extensively all over India to gather support for his non-violent struggle against the colonial power. So that was the basic foundation for our unity. Now, I would say, and this tendency has not was not disrupted by the new government, even though it was weak and the governance system was not fully equipped with bureaucrats or professionals. It was a weak government with weak resources. They tried to put it like alive the integration process of India. Of course, as you said, there were a lot of provinces, princely states around that period who wanted to be independent for many reasons, whatever you name. But these provinces or princely states they wanted to be independent. Some of them they wanted to join Indian Union. So it was the politicians and a well organized bureaucracy which decided, okay, we have to negotiate with them, we have to unite them, we have to integrate them into Indian Union. For example, Nizam of Hyderabad, he wanted to join. They were given options, of course, and Nizam of Hyderabad, he wanted to join Pakistan. But the geographical proximity between India and Pakistan, it was not feasible. Though it was not feasible, some of the rulers, they wanted to join Pakistan around that time. But it was negotiated. It was negotiated by the government, and in some cases, use of force was also done. But at the end, it was consolidated by the language-based states, I would say, the integration process. So now what you see in the southern states, especially Karnataka, Maharashtra is partly north and partly south, but Maharashtra, I would say, and Kerala, Andhra, and Tamil Nadu. So they have been like segregated as a language-based state with a common identity and language. So that was also a foundation to kind of a unity to the country.
Right. Thank you.